today I want to talk about comparison syndrome and in particular comparing ourselves to others on social media. So I'm recording this in the run up to the festive period, and I think it is a prime time for comparison syndrome, which is why I thought I'd share this particular video today. Because often we will look at things like, if people are sharing what they've bought their kids for Christmas and we think I could never afford that. Or we look at the amazing time they're having and the fun and the festivities and we think, well, why aren't I doing that? I'm just sat at home in my pajamas watching Christmas movies. Or for parents, it's things like people sharing their Elf on the Shelf and we're not doing Elf on the Shelf, or their Christmas Eve boxes and we don't bother with Christmas Eve boxes. Or we can see all these happy, joyful family Christmases when actually maybe we don't have as big a family, or we don't speak to our family, or there's issues there around family Christmases. So there's so many ways we can compare our Christmas experience to those of others, but actually social media in general offers huge opportunities. I don't know if opportunity is the right word, but it offers the opportunity for us to compare our lives to those of others. And that's not always a good thing. I mean, it absolutely could be a good thing. It could be that it motivates us and inspires us. And we might follow maybe things like entrepreneurs who give us great ideas for how we could become an entrepreneur, or people who've achieved amazing things who inspire us to achieve amazing things. So yeah, of course, there can be the opportunity there. But the downside, of course, of comparison syndrome is when it impacts us negatively. When we look at people and go, I want their life, my life's terrible in comparison. Or we get imposter syndrome because we think, I can't own this space because that person is having this amazing experience in this space and I'm nowhere near as good as them. Or we compare our everything we do in our lives to how someone else is living our lives. So we compare ourselves physically to people we're seeing physically on social media. Comparison syndrome is huge across social media. And it can be really, really detrimental to our mental health. We can of course, end up with feelings of low self-esteem and dissatisfaction with ourselves or our lives, which can manifest very, very fast into feeling depressed and down and sad, and lonely possibly as well. That feeling that everyone else is out with friends and family and you're on your own can really escalate the feeling of loneliness. So of course it can have a really, really negative impact. So because it has such a negative impact, it is important as individuals that we in some way manage that process of comparing ourselves to others and make sure that we avoid it as much as is possible. I don't think it's ever fully possible to completely avoid comparing our lives or ourselves to those of others, but I think there is definitely ways that we can reduce the amount we do that comparison, particularly when it comes to social media. So the first step is to unfollow or mute. If you can't unfollow because maybe they're a family member and it will cause some issues, then you can mute, but otherwise unfollow and get rid of anyone in your feed who is leaving you feeling dissatisfied with your lot in life. If you're following someone who's a multi-billionaire, who's sharing themselves out on these luxury yachts and having these amazing holidays and living this amazing life and buying their families these incredible presents, and you're left thinking, oh my God, I work 12 hours a day and I still can't afford that, and I can never give my children that, or I will never have that life. If you're feeling dissatisfied, then unfollow. If it's not inspiring you, then unfollow. That unfollow button is really powerful in helping you to choose the feed and the people that you want to see. So the question to ask yourself is it bringing me joy or fulfillment or adding value to my life in some way by following this user? And if the answer is no, then the simple answer is to unfollow them. Also, the way the algorithms work on most social media platforms now is they will actually suggest content to us, even if we don't follow individuals. They will suggest that we might be interested in seeing that content. So, for example, if you have become obsessed with looking at the ideal body and you're looking at maybe bodybuilders or, women in bikinis or anything like that, the more you look at that kind of content, the more of it you're going to see in your feed. So the more we pay attention to what we kind of are honing in on, the more that the feed is going to deliver that to us because it thinks that is what we want and it's trying to keep us on the platform. Now, of course, it might keep us on the platform, but in a negative way, that we're scrolling through things that make us feel really down about ourselves. So taking the example of a bikini body, if I'm seeing all these perfect, or what Instagram deems as perfect, or my brain has told me is perfect bodies, then of course I'm going to think, oh my gosh, I'm never going to look like that. I've never looked like that. I'm never going to be able to look like that. And it's going to leave me feeling, of course, that negative impact of comparison syndrome. But I'm feeding myself that because I'm paying so much attention to it. So stop paying attention to the things that are leaving you negatively comparing yourself to others. Try and scroll straight past it. Scroll past without even looking. And that over time will feed the algorithm by telling them you're no longer interested in seeing that kind of content. Another step you can take is on Instagram, there is 3 dots in the corner of a post. If it's suggesting something to you and you don't want to see it, you can click on those 3 dots and tell them that you're not interested in seeing that. And it doesn't just remove that post, but it starts to say, okay, we'll stop showing you posts like this. So you can start to kind of have your own say on what the platform is suggesting to you. On Facebook, you can do the same. You can tell the platform to hide it if any suggested content you don't want to see. And again, it will stop showing you similar content going forward. Also, if you found yourself stuck in a comparison syndrome phase, it could be worthwhile having a bit of a detox. Switching off social media, deleting the apps just for a set period of time, a couple of days or a week, so you stop that habit of comparing yourself and just take some time for yourself and some time with yourself and the people that matter to your life, and in doing things that fulfill your life, to remind yourself actually things aren't as bad as you've kind of built them up in your head. So taking time away is really important. If you've built it up to a point where it's, really negatively impacting your life, I would say delete the apps completely. That might feel like a big step. So at first, maybe it's a day away, 2 days away, possibly even a week away, but it might be something you consider in the future, building up towards actually just getting rid of the apps because they're not adding value, they're taking value away from your life. It's also really important to remember that people are sharing their best life on social media. If I'm having a day where my kids are throwing tantrums, I'm in a grumpy mood and shouting at them, and we're all having just one of those rubbish days, I'm not going to post a video of all that going on Instagram, am I? But the next day we might have this wonderful family day out and I take this brilliant picture of my kids kicking up leaves and us all having these happy faces and it's all joyous and wonderful. But that's just a snapshot of that day. They haven't seen the day before. They might not have seen the horrific journey to where we went on our day out and everyone was screaming in the car. They might not have seen that me and my husband fell out because we disagreed on something. There are so many factors and we're really just seeing a very small snapshot. And of course we all share the best snapshot, don't we, of our lives. So we might show this joyous, happy family Christmas when reality is we've all been bickering with each other. We didn't get the presents we wanted. The kids are driving us up the wall. Everyone's sugared up to the hilt. So-and-so has had a row with so-and-so. And actually it's not as good as it looks. But of course you share that happy family glowing picture. And then on the flip side, the people looking at it are thinking, oh my gosh, we've had a rubbish Christmas. We've all argued with each other. It's not been as good as we hoped. And look at theirs. It looks amazing. It's one snapshot of a whole day. So it's very important to remind yourself of that. Every time you see a post, think this is just a snapshot. You could even have a little kind of fun game with yourself of imagining what went on before and after that snapshot of their day. But do remember, life is normal for everybody. Things go wrong, but most people don't share that on social media. The same is true physically as well. There are so many people who Facetune or who use filters or who use Photoshop to create the ideal look when actually they don't look like that at all. So it's all pretend. It's not their real life. If you're thinking, hang on a second, I've got these lines here and I've got this patch here, like how come other people haven't got that? Because they've just filtered them out. They've clicked a filter and boom, we suddenly look this amazing fake reality of ourselves. It's a really important point actually on not using filters and being real, because the more of us who do that, the more we can realise that actually we're all the same. We all have little, what might be classed as imperfections, but they're just what makes us us. So do remember, it is not all real what you are seeing on social media. And similarly, I'm not going to post a picture of myself where I think, oh, that's really unflattering. I'm going to find the best angle, the best lighting. I'm going to wait till I've got a face full of makeup. You're not going to see me at my worst. And that's the same for everybody pretty much on social media. We hide away our worst and show our best. So then when other people look at that, they can think, well, that's not fair. I don't look like that. Well, no, neither do they. They've put a face full of makeup. They've got their best angle. They've got their best lighting. They've done everything they can to make that image look as perfect as possible. So stop telling yourself the story that that is how other people look and that is their lives, when actually you're really only seeing their social media look and their social media life, which could be completely different from reality. And then my last and final point on this is there are some people who are more susceptible to comparison syndrome than others, and typically it's those with super low self-esteem. They have really negative self-talk. They look at themselves in a really negative way. They look at their life in a really negative way. And so one of the actions that we can take to reduce comparison syndrome is actually, instead of putting it all on what we're seeing on social media, instead we can work on ourselves. So having more positive self-talk, saying affirmations in the mirror when looking at ourselves, building ourselves up, reminding ourselves of our achievements, giving ourselves a tick at the end of the day if we've had a good day, or a reward, a glass of wine, or whatever it is that floats your boat. Practicing gratitude and writing down the amazing things that exist in our life that we are grateful for. All of these activities will help to increase your self-esteem, increase the way you feel about life, and improve that so that you're not doing that negative comparison when you go on social media. You're just scrolling past and going, oh, whatever, that's fine. You can look like that. I'm happy with how I look. We all look different. That's okay. As opposed to, oh my God, my life's over. I can never eat again because I haven't got that body. So work on your own positive self-talk, your own self-esteem, take action to improve that. If that means taking a good chunk of time off social media to work on that without having to do the comparisons, then do just that. But look at it not just as being a social media activity, but also an activity and improving the way that you view your own self and your own life. So I hope that has given you some food for thought today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Do you find yourself getting stuck in comparison syndrome on social media? And if you would like to step away from social media a little bit more now and again, then why not have a look at my Reduce Your Phone Use course? I'll pop the link in the description below. And please do like this video and subscribe so that you can see my future videos all about improving your digital well-being. Take care. Bye.